What about now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hey, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, good. You know what? That's his fault. That was his fault. You watching, Dave? Every time he makes a mistake right now, the amount of money that he has to spend on my anniversary gift increases. And so what I'm finding is I might end up with a really impressive anniversary gift. I'm just kidding. We don't really buy each other gifts for anniversary. We're not like the gifting type. But anyway, how are you guys? It is lovely to see you today for session 1 of Soul Shift July. Welcome in. He did not break anything last night. I am happy to report to you. Whoop whoop. That's right. Marlon is taking a peek to see me. I'm taking a peek to see you. How are you? Who's new? Our 17th wedding anniversary is July 18th. We were married on July 18th, 2003, on the island of Oahu, in Kapalua, and it was beautiful. And I said yes. You know, you have a choice in those moments. You can say yes or you can say no, and I said yes. So look at that. Paige is new, Polly's new, Kat's new, Rochelle is back, Julie is new. Check this out. Che's like sort of new. Come on, Che. Welcome to all of you who are new. Thank you for saying happy anniversary. Look at that. Cindy Riggs' 26th anniversary is tomorrow. All right, Cindy Riggs. Well, you have something to teach me. I've made it 17 years, but I haven't made it 26 years. Let's hope we, cheers to that. Rhonda's birthday's on the 17th. My Leo sister. Look at that. New-er for Ricky Lynn, right? Not so new for Carolyn. Maddie's new. Taylor's new. Is it Rimzim? Is new. So welcome. Super great. Bridget Bates is new. Jacqueline Michelle, she's like, hello, I'm here, I'm new. Really want to welcome you, Paige. And Anixa, what a beautiful name. So anyway, cheers to you. Happy anniversary. Happy birthday. Happy being new. Kathy Ziegler's new. Really want to welcome you. Kelly O'Kane, look at that. Lorian is seasoned, well seasoned. Saya's been with me since like the beginning. Look at that. 36 years in October for Dorinda and her partner. I love that so much. So anyway, we just want to welcome you and say hi. So this is session 1. Let me kind of break it on down for you. Ready? Because Soul Shift, there's always a method to my madness. So Soul Shift is divided into 4 classes. Session 1, which is tonight, is the session where I really teach. This is the content-rich, kind of content-thick session. It's a little professorly because I was a professor before I founded Sage Goddess. So I get kind of teacherly on you tonight. But I got to do that sometimes. I got to set you up with I got to drop some knowledge so that session 2, which is going to be in my bedroom next week, by the way. Get excited about that. I've never taken you into my bedroom. We're going into my bedroom next week because I'm teaching you about how to set up your bedroom for rest. And I'm going to show you what I do in my bedroom. Not physically. I'm not going to show you that. Don't get too excited. But I'm going to show you kind of the things that I set up in my bedroom to help. Probably will show you under Zoe's bed too, because there's a grid under her bed that I would like for you to see. So we're going to talk about chumpy stones. We're going to talk about what crystals to have in the bedroom, not have in the bedroom, to really facilitate deep sleep. Yeah, well, because Jenny Holloway, I would get a lot of messages. Kevin, who is the manager of the head of my communications team, would be like, Athena, people wrote in and they didn't really want to see that. Kevin is so delicate sometimes. But people will write in and be like, I love Athena, but whoa, I wasn't ready for that. So I try to be very G-rated. So session 2 is going to go into the bedroom to talk to you about what goes under your bed, what goes near your bed, what shouldn't be near your bed, and what are some different traditions and customs and practices that you might want to incorporate in your bedroom experience for rest. Alexis, you should screenshot this feed right now and send it to Kevin. He would really appreciate it. Do you know Kevin is one of the hardest working members of my team. He works so hard. If you think about what Kevin's job is, Kevin handles, communications, and people usually only write in when they're not happy with something, right? And he's so gentle every time, because sometimes he'll screenshot and say, I'll write in and say, this customer's upset. Did you help them? And he'll write back and say, here's the screenshot. And when I see what he writes, it's like so caring and so loving. So anyway, big shout out to Kevin. Kevin should get a chance to see this because he works really hard and I adore him. He's one of a kind. And then we have Sharon and Sarah and Amber. I mean, my support team, by the way, has been with me forever. Like Sharon, I swear to God, is sent from heaven. She is an absolute guardian angel. I'm so blessed. I really, really am. I truly love the folks that work in our support team. So thank you for the shout out, because Kevin's job isn't easy. And neither is Sharon's, and neither is Amber's, and Sarah, for goodness sake, is a queen of all skills. So we're very, very grateful. Anyway. So next week, we're going to go into my bedroom to talk about crystals in the bedroom. And then the third week, we're going to journey with Morpheus. I'm going to teach you a little bit about Morpheus tonight. Whatever I don't cover tonight will be then. If you already got your Morpheus perfume, this is all I have in terms of specific tools for session 3. Morpheus perfume is a really cool one because it has Baronia flower, which is this ridiculously expensive essential oil that I bought, because it's crazy beautiful. It's like champaka, but it smells like honey. Like champaka plus honey is Baronia. And then it has valerian and it has lavender and all of the sleep oils in it, because Morpheus is the god of dreams. Remember that you have a customer appreciation discount today. You don't need to shop, but if you are shopping, make sure you check out your code, because you guys get 20% off today. Everybody else gets 18. So your code is... I don't have my glasses on, honey. Your code is Crystal20 for 20% off sagegoddess.com. And that's not just for class tools, it's for anything else that you want. But don't say the code to other people, because everybody else only gets 18%. I don't want the public using your code. So we are shipping Morpheus. The good news is all of your tools for July for Soul Shift, your Crystal Masters tools have already shipped. Your July Soul Shift tools are shipping tomorrow and the day after, Thursday and Friday. So you will have all of your Soul Shift tools by the time we get together for week 3 for our journey. You'll have Morpheus by the time we gather for week 3, and you should have your Crystal Masters tools for next week. And I want to say kudos to Team SG, because that is ridiculous how they're able to keep up right now. So I'm really grateful to the team. And if you don't have tools, it's okay. You work with what you have. Some people really like to have the very specific tools of the trade, of the tricks, right? No way. Is it Tanya? Or Tanya? I want to pronounce it correctly. She's in the UK. That means it is, you're 8 hours ahead. It's 12:20 in the morning where you are. Thank you for staying up, by the way. I love it when our UK community is actually awake with us, because that is commitment. Yeah, so you work with energy, you work with whatever. The tools are optional, they're not required. And I can't make a lot right now anyway, because I'm trying to put all of my team resource toward fulfilling orders and not creating things. So we're listing less than usual. So I want you to be aware, it's always, if you want them, you don't have to have them. And if you have to choose between education and tools, the teacher in me will always tell you, please choose education. The tools are secondary. You are the magic. Truly, you can people enjoy Soul Shift. They've enjoyed my classes for years without tools. But some people like to have all the tools. So we try to have something for everybody, and we're happy that you're here. Yeah, you just will not have your Tanzanite necklace, but it's coming. Because India is still really, really, really adversely affected right now. So anyway, thank you for all of that. Tonight, we are going to walk through all of your worksheets. So, the one thing you do need for class are your worksheets. These are part of your membership. My team spends a lot of time making these worksheets for you. And so, this is your Angela Foe symbol for July. I'm going to activate the symbol with you tonight. So this is what we do session 1. We activate our symbol, which is the awareness symbol, and then we go through our worksheets. So your worksheets for tonight are about sleep, rest, and dream time. If you haven't read them or printed them yet, don't worry about it. I'm going to walk you through them tonight. This is not one of those classes where it's like, oh, you didn't do your homework. Right? This isn't college. This is pleasure, right? So even if you haven't printed them, I'm going to walk you through them tonight, and then you can go back and print them later. There are journal questions in here. If you're a journaler like me, then you'll have fun with that. We're going to walk through all of the Jungian archetypes tonight. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you will in just a few minutes. And then we made you this, which I think is really beautiful. So the last couple of months, we've been talking about what kind of elemental priestess you are. And if you're new, don't worry about it. Okay, you can always go back and purchase back classes if you want to, but let me tell you what that means. Your astrological profile tells you a lot about what kind of element you are, right? Like I have most of my planets in fire, in the fire element, Leo, Sagittarius, and Aries. My Mars is in Aries. My moon's in Sagittarius, my sun's in Leo, right? I'm very fiery. So you can choose just to look at this on the basis of your natal chart and go, well, I'm down here. And so what we did is we took the Jungian archetypes, which again, I'm going to teach you about tonight. Carl Jung is one of the foremost psychoanalysts of our time. He was a student of Freud, Sigmund Freud. He is the founder of, alongside his partner, of the Myers-Briggs system, which when I was an executive coach, I used to make people take the Myers-Briggs inventory and then figure out their type and then analyze it. I taught a whole class on Myers-Briggs about 2 years ago called of Light and Shadow, OLAS. And so some of this will be familiar, but this is a new grid. So this is not OLAS repeat. This is sort of an evolution on it. And so what you can do is say, I'm mostly fire, I'm down here. You know, I'm mostly air, I'm over here. I'm mostly water, I'm over here. I'm mostly earth, I'm over here. Okay, north is earth, south is fire, air is east, water is west. And then it shows you what the archetypes are. And we're going to walk through each one tonight. Does that make sense? Have I lost you yet? Okay, so we're going to go through our worksheets tonight. And then I always do what I call lifting it off the page. I have a whole bunch of other stuff I want to teach you tonight that's not here. And that's where Alexis will be taking notes for you. So you don't even have to take notes. You just sit back, relax, enjoy. Some people fall asleep during class because it's relaxing and we're talking about magic and it doesn't matter whether you're paying attention or not. Okay, good. So you let me know if I've lost you. Okay, good. And then we will do our perfuming during week 3 when you have your tools. So just so you know, that's when we're going to make our perfume for the month and work with our herbs. We're going to be burning our herbs and we're going to be making perfume during week 3 before our journey with Morpheus. And then session 4 at the end of the month is our crafting session. But you'll have all of your tools by then. And I hope you're excited. Do you guys have any questions for me? Are you all in for Jung tonight? I'm going to take you through, this is Psychoanalysis 101. I used to teach Intro to Psychology to undergraduates. That's kind of what tonight is. And so if you're interested in psychology, if you're interested in human nature, if you are interested in psychology, broadly, whether it's adult psychology or adolescent psychology or, child psychology, tonight's going to answer a lot of questions for you. And not only are you going to, Alexis can help you with your technical questions about crafting and stuff in the feed while I focus on this. I just don't want you to think I'm ignoring you, but I want to stay focused. So Alexis, if you can catch up. Wait till you see your journal for this month. I think I have mine, actually. Do you want me to show you? I don't want to get distracted, but let me show you. It's absolutely beautiful. Be right back. I'm so proud of this. I think this is the best part of your tools. If you got your Soulship tools this month, this journal was handmade. every single one of your journals. Handmade. Do you see the pages? This is Morpheus. Handmade. They did this whole like texturing. This is all hand painted for you. They did this texturing on the journal. And then we are sending you quotations and all kinds of beautiful things. And then the man who made the journal, his wife cut the sari ribbons for you from dresses. When you get this, your hands will be shaking. This is the centerpiece of the whole set, and it's coming. So we're going to be hand making a dream journal together, and it's a couple who crafted these together for you. So she cut the ribbons from dresses, from people's actual sari dresses, and he did the art and the staining and the hand crafting of the pages. Isn't that gorgeous? I'm so excited. So anyway, that's coming. I didn't want to tease you too much, but there it is. Okay, so instead of my bell today, I'm ringing my chime. Session 1 of Soul Shift has begun. Isn't it gorgeous? It's so pretty. I'm such a sucker for pretty things. Okay. So I'm going to focus on teaching tonight. I'm going to smudge just a little bit to get us started. I always like to smudge before we begin. We're not opening a circle tonight because we're not doing ceremony, but I do like to clear a little bit of the energy. So I'm going to do that for you. Yeah, right? So beautiful. So I'll smudge, I'll play the chime just one more time for you to drop into the space and relax. Through your hands. By the way, we found someone who's going to manufacture chimes for Sage Goddess with our logo on it. Oh my God. By element with all the tones. It's going to take us a minute to get them made. But those will be coming to SG, the chimes. I'm so excited. I know. I'm so excited. It took us like months to find somebody who could make it and then personalize it. I know. So the little, this disc part will have your Sage Goddess on it. Isn't that fun? Yeah, that'll be really cool. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, if you don't want to wait, you can find the chimes. This one you can find on Amazon. And then you can find the upgrade of those, which is the same ones I'm getting, which are the solid wood. You can find those on Etsy. Yeah, or just, go out to your tree and shake your wind chimes. You know what I mean? You don't have to get too complicated about it. They are so beautiful. Yeah, no, we're getting the 4 elements and the notes that go with each one of the elements and all that. It's happening. It's just going to take a while because COVID. Okay, so let us start with, let me just check my notes really quick. I want to start with our Angelophos symbol for the month. And let me explain Angelophos for a second. The chimes on, I think that the primary manufacturer is called Koshi, and Koshi chimes are the ones that we're getting. You know what I mean? They're really nice quality wooden chimes. These are a little bit less expensive and they're not as nice a quality, but they're beautiful and they will do the trick, right? Okay, this is your symbol for July, and I want to explain what this is because some of you are new, okay? The Angelophos, this word right here, phos means light in Greek. My grandmother's name is Fotini, and my grandmother's name means the light of God. So angelo, right, means angel, and phos means light. When I was in ayahuasca ceremony last October, it was like a curtain got pulled back, and I was told, I'm going to give you these 13 symbols. And these are symbols that you're going to give to your community and activate one with them each month. This month, Ashley Hart, is when we're learning about astral travel. So I wasn't expecting this. This was a gift during ayahuasca ceremony. I wasn't trying to channel a system of symbols. I wasn't trying to do any of that. And so when I asked how to explain it to you, what I was told in ceremony is this is like Reiki 4. Once you get your traditional Usui Reiki symbols in Reiki 1, 2, 3, this is like a 4th level. And each month I'm teaching you one symbol. So this is our 7th symbol for the month, and it's awareness. And I'll tell you why this is the symbol for July with our Dreamtime work. This very much reminds me of what's called the Vajra or the Dorji in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. Do you know what a Vajra is or a Dorji? I don't have one here to show you right now, but we've had them in the shop before. The Vajra is a symbol that looks like it has 2 bells on it and then a middle piece. And what it represents is man in between the upper world and the lower world. Do you see it? And what I was shown in that journey was, this is you, and this is your spiritual work in the world that you do, and this is your dream time. These are the 2 places you can go for wisdom. You can go into your spiritual practice, or you can go into your dream time practice. You know, your by day and your by night. Does that make sense? And this is you. This is the masculine and the feminine. This is your duality. And it also represents the duality above you and the duality below you, right? Everything in our universe is polar. I've been teaching you the Hermetic principles for 9 years, right? And if you don't know what the Hermetic principles are, you can go and look those up. But one of them is polarity. Everything in our universe is polar. Where there's good, there's evil. Where there's light, there's shadow. Where there's masculine, there's feminine. Where there are kind people, there are shitty people. Where there is, fire, there is earth. Where there is water, there is air. You can't live outside of duality. That's the human experience. It's not the soul's experience. It's the human experience. And the challenge of being human, by the way, is we only know happiness because we know sadness. Think about this for a second. We only know the good times because we've had bad times. If your whole life had been blessed and you'd never cried and you'd never lost a loved one and you'd never lost a job and you'd never been disappointed, would you even know if you were happy? You would just think, oh, well, that's normal, right? Like, oh, this is just how life is. We learn to appreciate the beautiful moments of life because we experience the other moments of life, right? It's true. And there are other principles in Hermeticism, the principle of correspondence, the principle of gender, right? So there's multiple principles in Hermeticism, but this one of polarity, as above, so below, right? As within, so without. That there is and that's the principle of balance too, right? That everything in the universe is balanced, but everything is polar. Everything is opposite. Male, female, hot, cold, yes, no, black, white, good, evil, all these things. And then the reality is you're always somewhere on the spectrum. And the goal, here's where it gets really interesting, okay? The goal is not to be happy all the time. Did you know that? As a human being, that's not your goal. You cannot be happy all the time. This is why we have a culture of people who are constantly dissatisfied. This is why I'm trying to teach my kids. Because my kids are like, why am I not happy today? Maybe you're not happy today. You're not going to be happy all the time. Your goal should be status quo. Simple, easy, peaceful. Peace is the goal. Alignment is the goal. Steady state is the goal. You're going to have moments of big happy, and you're going to have moments of big sad. And the rest of the time, you should be peaceful, centered, aligned, balanced. Not too happy, not too sad. Not too hot, not too cold. But if we teach our kids that they should expect to be happy all the time, or be rewarded all the time, or be told how great they are all the time, we're setting them up for failure. Or if they, I tell my kids, you know what, your job today is to get real bored. I mean, as bored as you can get, like where you're almost crying, you're so bored, right? Because your goal isn't to be entertained all the time. You're not going to be entertained all the time. Sometimes you're going to be bored, but as long as you're peaceful, that's the goal, right? Alignment, peace, not happy or sad, but somewhere in the middle. And that way you can really enjoy your moments of pure joy and bliss and orgasm and all the things. But you can also appreciate the moments that are on the other side of that too. It's true. Like Holden's saying, that's me at work right now, right? Like every day is going to bring its challenges. But if you're spending most of your time in a state of stasis, peace, balance, centered, right, then you know you're on track. If you're happy all the time, I think you're probably on some medication. Which is great for you, but the rest of us have to figure out a way to manage. I'm never bored too, but you know what? You know the reason is my parents did not teach me that I was supposed to be happy all the time. They did not teach me that. And so I'm trying to teach my kids, you want to be happy all the time? Find somebody else's house to live in. You're not going to be happy all the time here. You're not going to be entertained all the time here. You will be fed, you will be loved, and then occasionally you will be bored. Sometimes you will be happy and you will occasionally be sad. And my parenting work here is complete, right? So I'm glad that's helpful for you. In the West and in the United States in particular, we chase happiness. And we think, oh, I'm not happy today. I must be depressed. And it's like, no, you're human. And the world is weird right now. Half of us are afraid to walk outside our door and sneeze on somebody. I mean, this is a weird place to be right now, right? Okay, so happiness is up here, sadness down here, hot, cold, whatever you want to call it, and you're here. You're going to be here sometimes, you're going to be here sometimes. And then what do you have to do? Get back here. So this is awareness, because once you know this, it's like the doors of the universe fling open to you. Then you're not expecting your husband to make you happy. Then you're not expecting your partner to make you happy. Then you're not expecting your wife to be the sole source of the joy in your life. Then you're not expecting your parents to constantly entertain you. Then you're not expecting, because when you expect, that's when this whole thing falls apart. Humans can't expect to be entertained, happy, pacified. It's your job to make you happy. It's your job to get back into alignment. It's not your partner's job. It's not your kid's job. It's not your parents' job, right? Did they? Christine said the doors flung open this weekend. But seriously, and if your partner is putting these expectations on you, or if you're putting these, I will tell you, the divorce rate in the United States would plummet if people stopped thinking that their partner was there to make them happy. Your partner's not there to make you happy. I mean, that's just not your partner's job. That's your job. Your partner might show you what happiness looks like sometimes, but they're not there to make you happy. So this is why this is also important. So the symbol this month is a little trickier to draw, I will tell you. I'm just going to set your expectations realistically right now because it's tricky to draw. I tried to, when Ayahuasca showed these to me, she drew them for me, and she drew them in like one continuous sweep, and I was all impressed. And then I've tried to like go back and do it, and it's kind of tricky. So I'm going to show you. I've drawn over it several times here. It's nice if you can start in the center of your symbol. Always try to find the center. The center is right here. Okay. I know, yeah, creation was hard enough, Casey. We're just upping the ante here with these next symbols. Okay, so you're going to start in the center, and then what I do is down, around, over, up, over, back to center, up, down, through, out, and back. Start in the center. And you can trace this on your skin. One of you at least has a tattoo of one of our Angelifo symbols, which I love. You can draw this, you can draw it in the air. Try drawing it in the air, right? So you start in the center, come down around, and then you go through your triangle, up, down, through, and then back. Just like the Reiki symbols. right? Just like the creation symbol, just like all of the symbols from Usui Reiki, right? So starting in the center, coming down, around, drawing your triangle, up through the center, down all the way down, around, and that way. Did I get through, maybe, did I get through the whole circle? Oh, I think I went up that way. Yeah, so center, down, all the way around the circle, up, draw the full triangle down all the way through and around the bottom triangle. Did you see, Holden, I fixed it. So here, all the way around the circle, up, through the whole triangle, down, and through. I'm gonna do it one more time. Center, down, all the way around the circle, up through the triangle, all the way around, down through the whole line, up, down, and through. Scout's head exploded. Is that better? Emily said, I start at the bottom, go up the line. Okay, this is what Emily does. Then the right side, then the left side. Could work too. They do not, yeah, Lorian, they do not have to be drawn any particular way. They don't. The whole symbol has to be there, and it's not like one of those weird puzzles where, like, if you draw the lines twice, you did it wrong. If you draw over a line twice, it's okay. Right? So I like to draw on my arm. Plus, I'm eventually going to take a bath or a shower. I just didn't do that today. So down, right? All the way around the circle. Up. Back down. Oh, yeah. Right? And see, Holden feels like he needs to draw it, trace over it 3 times. And you might feel that. It does feel good in pen, doesn't it? And anywhere you want. I mean, starting in the center. And then, yep, down, around, up, around, down. Whatever, it's a club. This is a good one. I love you too. Look, drawing on yourself with ink is a lot of fun. You used to do it when you were a little kid, and then you got all grown up and you didn't do that anymore. Now you're going to start drawing on yourself with ink again. We are making flash tattoos of the symbols. I don't know when they will be ready. And we're having a really hard time. I have a whole series of chakra, all of the actual symbols of the chakras, the 9 chakras, and I have the Angelophos coming and everything, but everything is just taking so long. Yeah, probably January. See, Debbie, you got to tell your mom. See, I've started drawing on myself, and I'm so much happier. Who knew it was the key to happiness? Okay, so any questions about our Angelophos symbol for awareness? And remember what it means. So you're working with a client, and the client says, I don't know. I'm depressed. I don't believe in God anymore. I don't even know. I'm so stressed with my life. That tells you they're right here and right here, and they need this. So this is a great symbol to bring them into awareness that where they're focusing. If you live your whole life as just a mortal muggle, you're going to be depressed. This shit's depressing. If you don't believe in any other dimensional realities, this gets really shitty really fast. I mean, I'm telling you, if I didn't have my faith that there's something other than what I can see, feel, touch, hear, and sense, I don't know, man. I would have to be medicated. I mean, we would have to do something. If this is all this is, you know what I mean? And I don't believe this is all it is, but I've seen other stuff. I literally, and this is why I'm telling you this, And if you've never done medicine, and you don't have to do medicine. I do medicine so that you don't have to. Because some people are like, I can't do ayahuasca, I'm on antidepressants. Okay, then let me tell you. Literally on the other side of, if you're sitting in a room with a window, are you sitting in a room with a window? Look out the window. And by the way, this is related to tonight's class. This is not a digression. Look out your window. As close as that is more than you'd be able to wrap your head around. If you could see what's actually happening in the spirit world, which is right there. I mean, it is 2 feet away from you. You just can't see it because you're human and you're in 3D and your vibration is so slow that you can't see anything vibrating high. So the only thing you can see in this life are other things that are as slow vibrating as you are. Plants, other humans, animals, although animals can see stuff that's higher vibrational. That's why when your cats act weird and your dogs act weird, you should notice, because they see other things that than you can. It is literally 2 feet away from you. And the only reason the guides don't show it to you is you would either freak out and get so scared you would freak out, because the spirit realm is overwhelming. In that realm is every soul ever incarnated on this planet. In that realm there's no time and there's no space. So in that realm is you as an infant, as a child. In that realm is you in 6 different lifetimes, all happening right now because there's no space and there's no time. So in that realm is everything that's ever happened or will happen in the future, happening now because there's no time and there's no space. You just can't handle it, so they don't show it to you unless you ask them to pull back the veil, or you take a plant medicine and then you go, ooh, okay, I think I get it now, right? There is something else. When you start getting depressed and you're like, this sucks and this is too much and I don't want to do this and humans suck and earth sucks and everything sucks, that's when you need to go back and listen to this class again and remember there's so much more than you know. They just don't want to overwhelm you, but it's beautiful. And it's what keeps me going every day, because the world right now doesn't feel very good, but I know there's more to this. So I'm hanging on for the ride, right? Oh yeah, and whether it's mushrooms or combo or ayahuasca or San Pedro, those are ones that I'm familiar with, but there's lots of other ones out there. And I'm not advocating it because you have to be very careful. I don't think you should do plant medicine unless you're really called to it. So that's why I do it, so I can talk to you about these things, right? Yeah, this symbol, this is kind of a graduation symbol. Because we've been dabbling here and we've been dabbling here, but we haven't done as much of here. This whole month is upper realm, upper chakra, because this whole month is about what happens when you close your eyes at night. Let me tell you, I will do plant medicine retreats when it's legal. I don't want to dilly-dally, or not dilly-dally, but mess around with that. And I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime with our current government, and there's so much anxiety about people. In our society, have you noticed, what we really value is people being alert. We value caffeine, because caffeine's a drug, right? But it's legal because what does it make you do? It makes you focus and work hard. And in our society, we value focus and working hard. Oh, you did a good job. Oh, you got promoted. Oh, you showed up to work today. Like, those are the things we value in the United States, at least, in most of the Western countries, right? So we value that. So we allow caffeine to be legal. We allow tobacco to be legal because, again, tobacco relaxes you a little bit, but it also focuses you, right? So anything that focuses you is legal. Anything that makes you soft or relaxed or multidimensional is illegal. Have you noticed that? Because we value, you got to work at 8. You did all of your work hours. You focused, you did your homework is correct, you got an A on that test, and you graduated, and you got your diploma, and then you know, like, that's what we focus on, that's what we value. It's really true. I don't value that. I value holistic wisdom, which is kind of partly that, but it's also not that, right? So when we start valuing things that aren't just showing up to work and being an employee and being a kind of a servant to the system, then we'll have some medicine experiences, right? I think you're right, Christine Pita. I really do. Well, and the other thing is people abuse things, right? Like in plant medicine ceremony, you would never abuse because the plants will, it won't happen. Plants don't want to be abused, so, and they will stop you, right? So, but people get a little bit of something and they abuse it. It's like you don't have alcoholism mostly in Europe, right? Because kids are exposed to alcohol all their lives, so they're not excited about it. They tried wine when they were 6 years old and they didn't really like it, so but here in the US, it's like you can't drink till you're 21, and then people are like, ooh, it must be so special, and then they abuse it. Right, so I think that's the other thing, is we don't know how to treat things sacredly without abusing them. It's really, really challenging. So anyway, something for you to think about. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about the subconscious versus the unconscious. We're going to talk about the next handout I want to go over with you. And honestly, I'll tell you, this conversation is riveting to me. I don't know if it's interesting to you. I could talk to you about this all night long. But like I said, this is part and parcel of our conversation tonight, because we're going to be talking about what happens when your ego, your conscious mind, shuts up, which is what happens when you go to sleep. And your spirit guides need it. Your spirit guides are so happy when you go to sleep because you stop trying to control the show. They can show you whatever they want to show you, and you can't do anything about it. And they love it, right? And nobody has these conversations. And by the way, this all takes us back to, if you know the history of drugs and legality in the United States, right? This takes us back to my own lifetime, right? And what happened with Nixon. Nixon was absolutely terrified that marijuana would be legal. And so he classified it as a Schedule I drug, and it's taken us this long to recover. When we know that cannabis and CBD are pain relievers, they are hugely potent medicines for people. We're still dealing with the Nixon legacy, and we probably will be for a long time. So this is this the one I want to show you? No. I want to talk about our acknowledgement here. So let's take a look at, in your worksheets, why am I not finding the acknowledgement? Alexis, can you help me? What page on the worksheet is our acknowledgement for this month? I thought I had it and I'm not seeing it. Dave printed this out. Alexis, can you let Dave know I don't have the acknowledgement for this month? I'm going to teach it to you, but I don't know what page it's on in your worksheet. He printed out the things that you guys sent over, but I don't have the acknowledgement. So I'm going to teach it, and then if you can ask him just to print it for me, then I can show you the worksheet. Yeah, so he didn't print it for me. Would you just let him know, or ask Claire to let him know, and then he can bring it up to me and I can show it to you. Okay, the acknowledgement, so, and the other thing I have to tell you, so what we do during session 1 is our Angelopho symbol for the month, our acknowledgement of the month, and then we go into our theme for the month. So we talked about the Angelopho symbol. Next thing I'm going to talk to you about is what's called the acknowledgement. In previous years of Soul Shift, okay, we've only done shadow work in September, October, November. Shadow work is related to Carl Jung. Right? Carl Jung is the one who coined the term the shadow. It's one of the 4 main archetypes that Carl Jung, who again is the father of psychoanalysis in this country, student of Sigmund Freud, the shadow is one of his 4 archetypes. There's the persona. That's the person you show me, and that's the person I show you. The persona is the thing we try to control. So you might want your persona to be like friendly, or your rising sign, by the way, is part of your persona. Mine's Libra, right? So I want you to be happy. I want you to be content. I'm a people pleaser. I want you to be fed. I want you to be, all those things. That's the persona, and it aligns to your rising sign. Then what Jung taught us is that we have a masculine and a feminine beyond the persona, called the anima or the animus. And each of us has a masculine side of our self and a feminine side of ourself. Then there's the shadow, which is all the stuff I don't want you to see. And it's all the stuff you don't want me to see, right? It's the stuff you got in trouble for when you were little, right? It's the stuff you get in trouble for now as an adult, right? The shadow is your anger and your resentment and your frustration and your jealousy and your over sexuality and your all those things, all the things where you're like, are they gonna find out? Are they gonna find out that I get mad? Are they gonna find out that I get resentful? Are they gonna find out that I have a hard time being monogamous? You know what I mean? Are they gonna find out? It's the blind spot. That's right. But sometimes it's not a blind spot. Sometimes you know it, and you just don't want people to know it. It's the imposter syndrome, right? If they really knew, what would they think, right? Let me tell you, when you are willing to let go of your fear of your shadow, a whole new world opens up to you. Because then you're not worried about shit flying out of your closet, right? You're like, you know what? I do get pissed off. You know what? I do get resentful. You know what? Sometimes I'm jealous as shit of people. You know what? Sometimes being monogamous fucking sucks. You know what? Sometimes I want to just scream and yell and run away and live in an igloo in Alaska. You know what? Sometimes, these are the things. And if you can acknowledge it, right? Because guess what? Holden has a shadow, and Cecilia has a shadow, and Hillary has a shadow, and Catherine Dalton has a shadow, right? It's not a big surprise. When people tell me, you know what, Athena, I get really pissed off sometimes. I'm like, ooh, what do? Do you punch your pillow, or do you go out and scream, or do you what do you do when you get really mad? Instead of going, oh, wow, you get mad? Wow, I don't know if I want to be your friend anymore, right? I get pissed off. I get super pissed off, right? Denise is like, you know what? Sometimes I'm fucking crazy. Great, me too. What's your crazy look like? I try to be crazy a little bit in private because it's crazy. But, I get really pissed. I will go into a room and just scream, at the top of my lungs. I will go outside and, run up and down my block barefoot. I will do it. I do it. I get pissed. Christy runs out in the pasture and screams. Do you know about chair therapy? I talked about this last month, but if you're new, you probably haven't heard it. There's actually a therapy called chair therapy. And what you do is you sit an empty chair in a room where nobody's going to hear you, and you let that chair have it. You let that chair have it. You tell that chair who's what. and you let it out. Because you know what? When it's out, it has no potential to harm you anymore. That's why you have to get it out. Oh my God, you tell that chair, you know what? You pretend that chair is your parent who didn't do a good job raising you. You pretend that chair is your ex-husband. You pretend that chair is your whatever, your neighbor who's a jerk. Throw a pillow. The thing is, we don't talk about this in the West, and so we don't talk about ways to manage it. Do you know what I mean? Because we don't want to acknowledge it, so we don't talk about chair therapy. Because chair therapy suggests that you actually do get really pissed, and that you have a right to be mad. You know what I mean? This is where I break with the metaphysical people who are all like, oh no, it's just love and light and stuff. And it's like, it's not just love and light. And if you're pissed, you got to get that out, because you know what happens if you don't get it out? That's when the body aches start and the disease starts and you know what I mean? Like, this is what happens. And if you want to throw the chair across the room, I think that's fine. Set up some, especially if it's a nice chair, set up some pillows. So when you throw your chair, it doesn't land against the wall, right? It shows up in other ways. Or you start drinking to push it down. Or you start smoking to push it down, right? So get it out. I will tell you this right now, and this is the honest to goodness truth. I will never judge you for getting angry. There have been people sometimes, even in our classes, who have, because it's called shadow projection, right? So I've had people like get super pissed at me about stuff, right? And sometimes it is about me, like they don't like what I said, or they don't like what I taught, or they don't like what I did, okay. But I've had people get mad at me where it wasn't me, it was them, and they were working it out because I'm open, right? And they've come back later and said, I'm really sorry. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why I said that. I don't know why I did that. And my response is always the same. It's okay. I forgive you. You're human. I'm your teacher. I will always tell you, I'm not gonna judge you. If you freak the fuck out, I'm not gonna judge you, because you're human. And I hope that you're doing the work, which means sometimes getting really pissed. And even if it happens to get pissed at me sometimes, okay. This isn't my first rodeo. But at least start to acknowledge what's happening. You know what I mean? We can't work with it unless we acknowledge it. But I'm never going to judge you. If you come to me and go, guess what, Athena? I get really mad. And sometimes I scream and yell. And sometimes I run around the block and I hit things. Not people, but I hit things. Don't hit people, but you can hit pillows, right? I'm going to tell you, congratulations. And thank you for doing your work. Because that means you're going to be healthier. You're going to live longer. Your family isn't going to have to deal with whatever repressed stuff, and you're not going to start medicating yourself. So thank you for doing your work. It's really, really true. It's so good for you. Get mad, guys. I tell my kids all the time, get mad, go outside, hit that ball. Get in that pool, and I mean like claw through that water. Go in your bedroom and grab your pillow and scream at it, right? Get it out. Because otherwise it just sits. It just sits. My Mars is in Aries, so I'm all up in this right now. So this month, what we're doing with acknowledgement, and you're welcome. I get pissed too. I get jealous too. I get resentful too. I get afraid too. So this month, our step 4 of our shadow work, called acknowledgement this year, is I unearth it. We're doing it by sign, and July is the sign of Cancer. So in Cancer, what we do is we dig a little deeper, okay? So by unearthing it, what we try to figure out is what's at the core, right? When you're mad at some random thing, it's usually not that thing. It's usually your mom. Right? So you get mad at some random lady, but it's really because it's your mom who didn't do what she was supposed to do, right? So this month, we want you to try and these are the journal questions that I want you to try to answer about what's triggering you. What makes you uncharacteristically angry, right? And you might say, well, you know, when my kids don't listen to me, it makes me angry. It's not about your kids. It's because you weren't heard by your parents, right? And then now you're mad at your kids because they're not listening to you. But then you got to realize it's not your kids. Go back to the start. Go back to the root. We need to root cause what's going on with you, right? So, and what triggers me a lot of times is, I mean, there's so many different things to trigger me. I can't even begin to tell you, honestly. The list is long and kind of endless. My Mars and Aries, right? Sometimes I get triggered when I see people with like a really good like mother role model, because it's, you know, mine was good but it was dysfunctional, and so I get really triggered by that, and then I get jealous, you know, because I think like, well, wasn't I good enough to have that experience? You know, wasn't I good enough? Because, you know, my mom would always say things to me like, that was good, but if you did this, it would have been better. I like that, but if you'd done this other thing, it would have been better. You're a good mom, but you work, and working parents, kids have problems. You're a good this, but if you'd done this other thing, wow, And so I always felt like, okay, nothing I ever do is going to be good enough. My mom told me, as long as you're working, your parenting is going to be what it is. Well, I love what I do. You know what I mean? So whatever your trigger is, mine is a working parent thing, right? You've gotta start to articulate it. And then when I so for a while, I would see moms who didn't work, and I would get triggered because I would hear my mom in my head going, see, her kids are really well behaved, and it's because she's at home. Children need a mother who's home. Meanwhile, by the way, I'm working from home now, and I get no cred from my mom at all. It's not like, well, now that you're home, right? See, her children listen to her. So anyway, fill out your sheets. It will help you understand. And then get a chair out and have it. I've done the chair where I've said, you know what? Let me tell you something about stay-at-home moms. They're not better parents. And give it to the chair, right? It's true. Now I don't, right? Now I'm like, what I've learned is stay-at-home moms have their own set of challenges. And honestly, in a lot of ways, it's harder. So I've learned this whole level of respect that's separate from what I was taught by my mom. So you learn to work through your shadow, and then you own it. And now I don't get frustrated. If somebody used to say, oh, I stay at home with my kids, I used to go, I would get triggered by that. But now I'm like, oh, good for you. So hopefully that's helpful. Any questions about what it means to unearth your shadow? It means going a little bit deeper. Understanding it's not your neighbor, it's not that lady on Facebook that bothers you, it's not this other thing, it's not, something on YouTube. It's going back a little bit deeper to understand things that rooted in you a long time ago and then taking responsibility for them. Because here's the outcome, you ready? I've been able to really also let go of that with my mom. I don't have any bitterness around it anymore. When I spend time with my mom now, it's just pure appreciation because I see where she was coming from. That was her experience. So she valued it because it was her experience. Do you need to do the first 3 steps to do this one? No. No, these aren't like chronological. Start here. Start where you are, right? I look at my mom with a lot of compassion now. Because the reality is, I think she would have liked to have had something outside the home, So I love her and I appreciate her for what she did. And wherever you start is perfect for you, right? It's true. And then once you work through all of this, right? After your chair gets hit, smudge your chair. But here's the goal of all of this, you ready? Is to look around your life, and I will tell you, I am officially there. I look at both of my parents with huge compassion and massive gratitude. I look at my husband with huge compassion and massive gratitude. I look at my siblings with huge compassion and massive gratitude. That's the goal. I don't look at any of them and go, well, you shoulda and you coulda and why'd you do that, and none of that. Because once you do this, you look at them through a new lens where you say, there but for the grace of God go I, right? Does it? It's interesting, right? You want to remove the stinger from your bee. Everybody's got a bee. Do I not model that with my husband? Maybe we joke too much, Carolyn. I really do have a lot of gratitude for my husband. I really, really do. My husband and I really jibe each other, so that's good feedback. Maybe we jibe each other too much in public. I kind of assume that most people know we kind of go back and forth because we've been together for 20 years, but I do have massive gratitude. My husband's actually the best dad I've ever seen. Aside from my dad, he is as good as it gets. It's really, really true. So that's the goal, is where you look at each person in your life with massive gratitude, right? It's really true. Just gratitude, I see you. I see this part's hard. I see this part's challenging. I see that I could have, you know, if I were in your shoes, I'd probably be the same way, right? That is the, that is that, right? Good stuff. Okay. So we talked about the 4 primary archetypes from Jung, right? Which is the persona, the shadow, the anima or animus, and the self. The self is the last one. Well, thank you. Everything is relative, right? Like if laughter and kind of teasing and jabbing is not the way you communicate with a partner, then the way Dave and I are could look like we're at odds with each other, right? But it's actually kind of our coping mechanism because we have a similar sense of humor. So and we're back and forth with each other all the time. But it is sometimes good to think about how things are received or experienced by other people. And even in the feed, you guys experience it really differently. And what this teaches you is perspective, right? It's perspective. One person looks at something and sees fun and kind of like, banter, and another person looks at something and sees conflict. And that's what you have to know about human. This is why we're talking about psychology tonight. You have to know this about human nature. Everybody looks at things differently. Everybody looks at things differently. He and I have a really good relationship because we're so raw and honest with each other. We don't keep secrets from each other, and we're really honest about where we are with each other. We don't have like subterranean issues going on. Some partners don't communicate with each other, and then they have all this stuff under the surface. So it kind of depends on how you negotiate your relationship too, right? Absolutely. Okay. Underneath those 4 main archetypes are 12 what we call mythic characters. Okay, mythic characters. And the 12 mythic characters are on this worksheet. And we've organized them by element. So I want you to look at this worksheet if you have it. If you don't have it, don't worry about it, okay? But this is the worksheet that Team SG created with the 12 what we call mythic archetypes, and each one is aligned to an element. So in the north, which is the element of earth, you have the sage, the ruler, and the jester. In the east, which is air, you have the creator, the hero, and the innocent. In the south, which is fire, you have the rebel, the explorer, and the orphan. And in the west, which is water, you have the magician, the lover, and the caregiver. Does that make sense? Okay. So out of the 4 main archetypes, which are persona, shadow, anima, animus, and self, you develop these other characters. These are universal characters. Everybody has these persona. Okay, if that makes sense. Everybody has these access to these characters that we can play. And you tend to play certain ones depending on the element in your chart. Does that make sense? So as a fire sign in the south, you tend to play the rebel, the explorer, and the orphan. As a water sign, you tend to play the magician, the lover, and the caregiver. As an earth sign, you tend to play the sage, the ruler, and the jester. And in the east, with air, you tend to play creator, hero, and innocent. We're going to go through those right now. Do you guys have any questions before we move into this part? Interesting, right? Okay. These 12, so the way Carl Jung thought of these 12 is that these are sort of basic human experiences, emotions, and drives. Each one of these, and they tend to break down along those elemental lines. So it doesn't mean, if you're an earth sign, it doesn't mean that you're never going to play the orphan, right? It doesn't mean that. It just means that you'll tend to see these patterns, and if your partner is an earth sign, you can kind of see those patterns, and if you're if you're the fire sign like I am, you can tend to see the other patterns. So you go by what you have the majority of in your chart or what you feel connected to. So if you have a ton of fire in your chart, you might look more at fire. Or if you feel more connected to fire, that's another way to think about it. It's kind of up to you, okay? Those are great questions. Okay, so we're going to break this down. I have so much, like I literally have like 20 pages of notes for tonight, and I'm trying not to overwhelm you. So let me back up the truck, and we're going to go through the archetypes together. So in this worksheet on the website, you have all of the Jungian archetypes broken down. We're going to go through these together right now. Yeah, you know, I like that question, Heidi Cruz. She said, what if you're a sign mutt? We all kind of are hybrids, right? So I think if you kind of find yourself in between categories or in between signs, that's okay. What we're doing tonight, here's the upshot of where we're headed with this. Your dreams, and the way to understand your dreams is to know that you tend to play out these roles, right? You tend to play out these archetypes. So like I'm mostly fire, and I rebel, and I explore. I had a dream the other night, and I woke up, and I didn't want to wake up from the dream. It was such an amazing dream. And the dream was that my neighbors next door, who are adorable, they cut off the back of their house and built entirely windows. And in the dream, they invited me over to look at their house, and all of the windows like pulled open, like there were no doors on their house. It was like the whole front of their house was glass. And I walked into their house in the dream, and I remember just saying, oh my God, I want to do this in my house. This is so amazing. And when I woke up the next morning, I went through the worksheet, and what I realized is I feel trapped right now because of COVID. Because I have underlying health conditions, and my daughter does too. So I feel really trapped and resentful. And so in that dream where everything was open, and I could just like, it felt like I could see the whole world. Like the view from their house is better than their view in real life, right? And I was looking out, and I was like, oh, I just feel like I can breathe and I can see everything, and I want to take the whole side of my house off and see, right? If I wasn't all fire, that dream would have been hard for me to understand. But because I understand that I'm an explorer and a rebel, I want out, and I'm feeling trapped in my house. Does that make sense? So yes, Jennifer McGuire, great question, and the answer is yes. So she said, I'm pretty equally balanced across the elements. Does this mean I could experience all the things? It absolutely does. It absolutely does mean that. Jungian. Yeah, I'll say it one more time because I know we have one member in our community who needs me to be a little bit clearer with my lips so she can read my lips. So Jungian. Jungian. It's a ya. Jungian. Is that helpful? So what if it's hard for you to remember your dreams? So your homework, when you get this, it's beautiful, but it's homework. I want you to keep this by your bedside, and every morning when you wake up, even if it's just 3 words, or you draw a picture, or you know, a symbol, or a short story, or as much as you can remember. Yeah, it's Jungian. Yeah, Jungian. This is for you to start to track your dreams. Because the more you track them, the more you'll remember. Your brain starts to note, like, oh, she wants to track this. Oh, he wants to remember this. And it becomes easier and easier and easier to track and remember your dreams when you record them. If you don't have dreams yet, one of the things we're going to talk about in Crystal Masters next week when we go into my bedroom is the crystals to help you have more lucid dreams. We're going to talk about astral projection and lucid dreaming next week, and the crystals to support those practices. Which for me, I'll tell you, but I don't play with them all the time. Moldavite and Libyan Tektite and Tektite itself, the black Tektite, you'll start having some dreams. If it gets to be too much, take them away. Don't sleep with them. You know, don't wear your ring. When I wear my Moldavite ring, it's a different kind of sleep than when I don't, and I choose. When I wear my Libyan Tektite necklace, it's a different kind of dream. right? So there are certain stones that will help you to have more lucid and active dreams. Then stillbite, and we'll talk about this next week, is a stone that helps with recall. And then sodalite helps to prevent nightmares, because some people don't want to have lucid dreams because they're afraid, right? Yeah, and like Joy said, it's a very good point. Certain medications also interrupt the dream time experience, right? Like PTSD meds will kind of shut the dreams down a little bit. Is that helpful? Oh, and when you get that wand, Breezy, Ray, Sabrina, you're going to lose your damn mind. Don't keep that wand near your bed if you want to stay in this dimension. You're going to start having a different dimensional reality. So that's, yeah, Asta, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So the crystals, the tools, the practice, all of that will be next week in Crystal Masters. So get ready and get excited, because that's our focus for next week. Will melatonin impact the dream time? That's actually a great question too for Carolyn in our community, who's a doctor. I wonder if Carolyn, if you have a medical perspective on herbal supplements in dream time, if there's anything that you recommend. I really respect Dr. Carolyn's perspective. So if you have any thoughts there, Carolyn, would really love to hear you share them tonight too. Okay, so we're going to go through the archetypes really quickly. And then, like I said, I want to save a little time tonight to do a little dream analysis with you. The other worksheet, by the way, that I want to tell you about. Ooh, so Carolyn just shared, it makes them better. Melatonin is what detoxifies your brain. Thank you for that. Can I ask you, Carolyn, I have friends who are giving their, because this is an interesting, like, a side question. I don't know if you have kids, any of you. My kids' sleep cycles are off since the quarantine. Like Zoe will go to bed at 2 a.m. and I mean, just her whole sleep cycle is off. And I have friends who are giving their children melatonin, like 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds. And you don't have to share it here publicly if you'd rather not, Carolyn, for any reason, but I would love to know if it's okay for kids. I haven't given it to Zoe because I just don't know. I'm very cautious when it comes to giving kids anything, even like Advil or Tylenol. So would love to know a perspective. Okay, low dose, 2 to 3 milligrams, very, very helpful. Are your kids off too? No way. Anybody else have kids whose sleep cycles are off? I'm telling you, in my whole community, nobody's kids are going to sleep at the same time as they used to. Fascinating, isn't it? So Bridget works with it for her 8-year-old. Fascinating. Candace's son is struggling. Melissa's kids are struggling. Look at this, Deb's daughter, because the structure's gone. I mean, we have structure because my kids are in summer school, but I literally, what I do every morning is cook, because the smell of the food is like one of the only things that gets my kids out of bed. So I just cook breakfast every morning because my kids have summer school starting at 10 a.m. I deliberately did that to sort of keep them on a schedule, right? Look at the feed. Isn't it interesting? Yeah, it's not the same. I know. We're doing the best we can, but it's challenging right now. Yeah, and we've shut screen time off, and we put them in summer school, and it's like, yeah, so I cook French toast and bacon and all kinds of things to get my kids out of bed. I do. Smoothies, because the Vitamix is really loud, so I'm like, smoothies! Press the Vitamix. It's really challenging, isn't it? Okay, this is really interesting. So thank you for sharing your perspective and your experience there too. Okay, so this whole set of your worksheets is about dream interpretation, and it gives you some additional resources. There are links for additional places to go for wisdom and insight about dream interpretation. It talks to you about Morpheus, the dream god, who I'm going to teach you about tonight anyway. But if you want to read this, it's like a quick overview of Morpheus. Then it talks to you about your crown and soul star chakras, the portals to peace. So the 2 chakras that govern dream time are your crown, which is the top of your head, and your soul star, which is about 12 inches above your head. And those are the exit points. Like when you die, you're going to leave your body through your crown chakra, your soul star chakra. When you came into your body, you came in through your crown and your soul star. So it's the life and death portal. And so we call it the peace portal, the death portal, the life portal. It's your connection to God. And then there's some additional information, but like I said, all of this will be covered in Crystal Masters next week. Bedroom gridding, herbs and oils for rest and sleep, stones for sleep. There's a whole section here. Again, this is all on sagegoddess.com in your classroom. but you don't need to look at it now. That's for next week. So we're not covering too much of that because that's more for week 2. What does it mean when you dream you are time traveling from kinetic karma? That's called lucid dreaming. When you're aware that you're dreaming, it's lucid dreaming, active dreaming. And it usually happens during REM, right? Rapid eye movement cycle, which is the deepest part of your sleep cycle. If you're not getting REM sleep, that's a lot of times why you're not dreaming and remembering your dreams, because you're not getting to REM, right? So we're also going to talk about REM more next week with Crystal Masters, because certain crystals, in my experience, support REM cycle, which is where you have your deeper dream experience. Now, this is fascinating. I love the comments. I'm going to go back through the comments later and just make some notes, because like Carol's talking about, I think L-theanine is a, what do you call it? I'm losing my words for the medical terminology, but it's interesting because I have another friend who's using that for their children's sleep cycles too. So I know, it's super good, isn't it? I'm glad. So not only are we helping you tonight in class, we're helping your children and your grandchildren and your nieces and nephews and neighbors and everything else too. Amino, that's right, amino acid. Super good. Yeah, my dreams are nuts. And that's why Dave would tell you, like, half the time he's like, I don't want to know. Like, it's weird alien stuff. It's life-size rabbits. It's people's houses with the backside ripped off, where I'm all excited to, like, be able to see outside and feel like I'm free again. I have weird dreams. Okay, so let's go back to archetypes. I want to go through this content with you. So let's go through, and I'm going to read off each one, and I'm going to tell you the elemental correspondence. So if you want to refer to the table, you can, or if you just want to listen to me, I will tell you each one of the elemental correspondences. So the first archetype is the innocent. This is an air sign archetype, and it is so damn true of air signs. If you're a Gemini or a Libra or an Aquarius, there's part of you that just wants to be happy. Am I right, or am I right? I don't have that. I don't have that, like, if I'm not happy all the time, I don't feel unfulfilled. I mean, I just don't have the expectation. But air signs are always trying to get happy, and they want other people to be happy, and they want people to be easy, and like, why can't we all just get along? And that's an archetype for you guys. So this archetype is open to new perspectives, willing to meet life on life's terms, but it wants to also cling to something that's pure, right? Remember this again with your air sign partners, with your air sign children, with your air sign parents, with your air sign BFFs, not just you. I don't want you to just read these through your filter. So if you have a heavy air sign partner, remember this. Some part of them just wants to be happy. And so in their dreams, they tend to like go to a happy place or visualize something that used to bring them happiness, and they'll see these themes get repeated. So pay attention to that. Fire signs tend to have this orphan archetype. I so have this. I mean, I 3000% have this orphan archetype. Doesn't mean you've been orphaned, okay? This archetype has lost its roots and feels like its needs aren't being met. True for fire signs, right? Something's missing. I gotta find it. Fire signs are always on a quest, man. And if you're their partner, it makes you feel like a failure. Because it's like, oh, what? I'm not good enough? Like some need is still not being met, right? Calling you out right now, but I'm calling myself out too. The orphan has resilience and is courageous, blazing its own trail, but it's resentful because we feel like somebody should be meeting our needs and they're not. And then we fantasize about some mystery person who would meet our needs, except we know deep down that they're not going to meet our needs. So we end up having these dreams with these like random mystery people who don't really exist who come in and it's like make all of our dreams come true. And then we wake up and we look over at our actual partner or family or whatever and we're like, these people suck. Okay. As long as you know it, it's great. It's just about owning it, right? Yeah, so this is rising, sun, moon, fire, right? You've got an orphan situation going on. It's really true. You're not perfect, but this person in my dream, they are. And it's like, no, we know this is not really true, right? Okay, the hero archetype, air. They want to save you. They can fix it. They're optimistic. This next time it's going to work, right? It's the helping, saving, protecting with the hero archetype. This is the archetype that saves the day, always in the right place at the right time. Right? So they have these dreams where they come in and they swoop in and everything gets fixed and it all gets resolved, and it's like, that's not realistic, but that's one of the archetypes. And this is how air signs get into these radically dysfunctional relationships, right? Because it's like, you're not here to save the day. You're not here to save me. You can't save me. I can't save you, right? So this is where fire signs look and go, why would you have that kind of an archetype? But the air signs are like, nope, I can do it, right? Caregiver, water signs. Oh my God, this is not my problem, but a lot of you probably live here, right? Looking after others, taking care of others, providing for their needs, making sure they're nourished, loving you unconditionally, right? It's these dreams, these mothering dreams, or the dreams of being mothered and all of that. It's just like, it's overbearing sometimes, right? Not everybody needs a mom. Not everybody needs a warm meal. Not everybody needs you to worry about them, right? It's like the whole weight of the world is on your shoulders. Again, not my issue, but some people experience this challenge, right? Okay, explorer archetype. This is me. I want to go and do it and have it and see it and experience it and live it. This is the freedom lover, right? This is my Sag moon for sure. The explorer wants to go out, see the world. They don't take your word for it. They want to experience it themselves. That's interesting, isn't it? So this might not be your issue, but this is my issue. So I dream of leaving and going far, far away, right? And then I tell Dave, and he's like, really? Because these are not his dreams, right? He has much more of the ones we'll talk about in just a minute. Rebel, overthrowing things that don't work, fire signs, right? Pushing the limit, finding a different way, changing the paradigm, right? Having dreams where animals rule the world instead of people. That's the explorer. Having dreams where you rip your house off. That's the explorer. Having dreams where all of a sudden you live in France and you never see your family again. That's the explorer, right? Are you always traveling, Vanya? It's really interesting, isn't it? And if you're never traveling in your dreams, that's okay. It's probably just an elemental thing, because these archetypes are ingrained in both the conscious and the subconscious and the unconscious. Remember that the conscious mind is what you're aware of. The subconscious is what you've repressed, and the unconscious is what you are absolutely not aware of, and it tends to be collective. So there's a whole set of energies in our planet and our universe that none of us are aware of, but we're all experiencing them. And this is why empaths are so drained, right? So there's the conscious, the subconscious, and the unconscious. The unconscious is what you don't know that you don't know. Okay? The rebel, overthrowing, right? The lover, this is water signs. To be in relationships, they want divine connection. They want unity consciousness, right? They have they're very romantic dreams. They're very, I don't have these dreams. I tend not to have dreams about people or relationships. But if you constantly have these dreams of loving and being loved and marrying other people and, having these relationships and all these things in dream time, like I literally can't remember the last time I had one of those. That's just not my path. My path is running away and ripping walls off of houses. But if you have those love dreams, you probably have heavy water presence in your chart, and sex dreams fall in that category too, although sometimes that's also rebellion or explorer. The sex dreams, depends on what kind of sex dream it is. But does that make sense? So you can sort of see how the lover is all, again, the lover, the caregiver, these are all the watery archetypes. The creator is air. This is bringing new ideas into being. These are the people who dream their new inventions, they dream their books, they dream their company, they dream their, this is not me. I don't imagine new things in my dreams. But some people really do. I have friends who will tell you, I dreamed my whole book before I wrote it. I dreamed that whole song before I sang it. I dreamed my whole house before I bought it. And it's like, are you a Libra, Aquarius, or a Gemini? Right? The jester is earth. They're here to bring a little bit of laughter, a little bit of levity. They see the easier, lighter side of life. This is Dave. Dave has really funny dreams. Like, they're funny. Where you just listen and you go, really? and Dave sometimes will laugh in his sleep. This happens with my son too, because he's very earth. You know, my son is an Aries, but he has a Virgo moon, and there's a lot of earth in his chart. So he's very grounded, even though he's very fiery as a fire sign. And he'll laugh in his dreams, or he'll have these really weird dreams, like, you know, being chased by, you know, cats or whatever with purple tails or something. Just weird, kind of funny. So if you wake up laughing sometimes, that can be a jester archetype. The ruler archetype is also very earth-based. These are people who are in their dreams, they're ruling, they're leading, they're a king, they're a queen, they're making decisions, they're in control, they're in power, their power is being taken away or their power is being given to them. These are all power-based dreams. And so that tends to be the ruler archetype. This is earth. The magician is having really esoteric dreams about the universe. This is water sign. Okay? Wow, Dawn wakes up with orgasms. I don't do that. Do you cry in your dreams? I have woken up. Have you ever, so when you wake up and you're still in your dream and you're so upset, I've had those dreams before where it's like, it was just so real that you wake up and it's like, you still don't believe that it's not happening. And I've woken up before where I was really upset and crying. It doesn't happen very often, but I have a little bit of water in my chart. My Mercury's in Cancer, right? So you can see a little bit of that. Crystal has apocalyptic dreams, so that's going to be more of a water-air profile as opposed to a fire-earth, the apocalyptic or the prophetic dreams. People who manifest through their dreams, and there are people who do, tend to be water signs. They're really good at creating. So Cancerian folks, all of your water signs, the Pisceans are really good at manifesting in their dreams because their imagination is active and it doesn't shut off when they go to sleep. So it can be very, very powerful. And then the sage, which is earth-based, is wisdom, right? So it's like learning new things in their dreams. Again, I've had friends who it's like, oh, I wanted to study this and I went to bed and I learned all about Egypt in my dreams. And I'm always like, how do you have that dream? I don't have that. Dave has these dreams sometimes too where he learns, or he'll like explore a whole country, or he'll explore a whole, like, oh, I was shown all of this wisdom about Spain, or I was introduced to this whole thing. And I'm like, I don't get to have those. So the earth-based dreams where you're learning tends to be the sage archetype. Learning or teaching. If you're teaching people in your dreams, I don't do that either, but I do enough of that during my waking time that I don't want to be teaching when I'm asleep. Maybe that's my agreement with spirit, is I get a break. I get a break. I get to run away at night. That's right. Sharon said it's night school. Isn't that funny? It totally is night school. So you might get exposed to learning about Lemuria in your dream time, or learning about, and these people who do that, the sage archetype, by the way, they can usually set an intention to do that. Like, tonight I want to learn about Lemuria. And then they hold Lemurian crystals, they fall asleep, they have a Lemurian dream, they wake up in the morning, they grab their dream journal. And so that's very possible. So the magician is the water sign, and that is manifestation, learning how to use your tools. That happens to the magicians, the water signs. Yep. So the magician is translating the laws of the universe, learning how to use your tools. Think of the magician archetype from the Rider-Waite Tarot, right? He's got tools in front of him, earth, air, fire, water, but he has to learn how to use them. That's my life path number. And so it's about learning how to use your tools and learning how to manifest through the elements. And so magicians will have dreams to that extent. Really dark dreams. So here's what I'm going to teach you. Now I'm going to teach you the last part for tonight. Ready? We're going to talk about Morpheus. By the way, do you know where Morpheus is mentioned? Specifically, darling, and we'll read it when we pick up Ovid, probably this weekend. On page 396 in book 11 of Ovid's Metamorphoses. Isn't that awesome? Not just The Matrix. Lawrence Fishburne did an incredible job, though, didn't he? Lawrence Fishburne is hot, in my personal opinion. From the nation of his 1,000 sons, old Father Sleep arouses Morpheus, skillful at simulating human form. He specialized in human beings only. Someone else impersonated beasts and birds and serpents. The gods refer to him as Isolon, but human beings call him Phobator. A third, Phantasus, has another skill. He imitates the soil and rocks and waves and tree trunks, anything without a mind. These show themselves at night to kings and leaders, while others wander among common folk. The father passed these by and chose from all his offspring Morpheus to do the task Iris had ordered. Having done so, he repaired immediately to his couch and closed his eyes. Anyway, on and on. So we will read about Morpheus in Ovid's Metamorphoses when we get there. Oh, I know. The Matrix is a really hot movie because I've always had a crush on Lawrence Fishburne and I've always had a crush on Keanu Reeves. So it's like you put those two in a movie together and like, that's just dessert. So let's talk about it. So Morpheus is the god of good dreams, right? But Morpheus has a brother. I don't think I wrote his name down, did I? Morpheus has a brother who is the god of nightmares. And another brother called Phantasius or Phantasus, who is the god of fantastical dreams, right? So there's a saying that one can rest in the arms of Morpheus. And what that means is you sleep well and you have positive dreams. That's what it means to rest in the arms of Morpheus. So that's actually a saying in popular culture. Like, oh, look at her. She rested in the arms of Morpheus last night. And it just means you got a really good night's sleep. The Onoroi, right? So what those three gods together, the god of nightmares, the god of fantasy, and the god of dreams, are called the Onoroi in ancient Greek. They are the siblings. Now let me tell you, Morpheus' father, do you know who Morpheus' father is in Greek mythology? Anybody know? Pop quiz time. Hypnos. Hypnos. What does that sound like? Hypnos is the god of sleep. Morpheus is the god of dreams. Morpheus's mother is Pasithea, who's the goddess of rest and relaxation. And Pasithea, do you know who Pasithea's parents are? She is a descendant of Bacchus, who is the god of joy and wine and celebration. So Bacchus has Pasithea, who's the goddess of relaxation, and then Pasithea has Morpheus, who's the god of dreams. This is how the ancient Greeks explained how you would get relaxed and how you would dream and all of these things. Okay. Now, Morpheus's grandmother is Nyx, N-Y-X. I almost named Zoe Nyx, but Dave didn't want to do it because it would be weird to have Nick and Nyx. But Nyx is the goddess of night, N-Y-X. I think it's a beautiful name. And so it is. So she's the goddess of night. That's his grandmother. Did I trace it any further than that? I don't think so. Okay, so that's Morpheus. Morpheus is where the word morphine comes from because Morpheus is said to sleep in a cave of poppy seeds. And of course, opium comes from the poppy, right, which is where opiates come from. And they induce a state that can either support dreams or not support dreams. Some people on opiates have really intense dreams, and some people on opiates have no dreams, or they have nightmarish dreams. So it really depends on how your body metabolizes it and how your body processes it. Opiates don't necessarily bring good dreams, right? Okay. So, anything else I want to tell you there? Okay. Hold on. Okay, so Morpheus, one of the things you can do is meditate with Morpheus, which is why I gave you a perfume, a potion to sort of inspire, invoke all of that with, valerian and with lavender and with boronia flower, which is supposed to be a mild sedative. So one of the things that you can do is meditate with Morpheus. You can actually, I have friends who invoke Morpheus in ceremony to come and guide you off to dream time. If you have insomnia, Morpheus is a very powerful guide to lead you into dream time. During our journey, week 3, my intention is for you to fall asleep. It's the first time I've ever led a journey in all 9 years of Sage Goddess, because Magical Sabbatical started 9 years ago in September. I've been teaching online classes since 2011 in what we're doing now, just different iterations of it. So my intention for our meditation week 3, you don't have to fall asleep, but my intention is that you will. And maybe have a different experience of integration once you actually allow yourself to fall asleep. So usually when we journey, I'm like, you can sit up, you can lay down. This one I'm actually going to recommend that you do, maybe if you can, from your bed with a pillow and a blanket and anointing with your perfume. You know, for some of you it's midday because it's 4 p.m. Pacific time, but for some of you it's 7 p.m. Eastern time, so you can kind of take a little bit of a nap. And I'll wake you up. The callback, we call it a callback in shamanism, which is a drum tone that sort of says, come on, come on, come on, wake up. So I'll do a really strong callback this time in case you do fall asleep. And then I want you to, as soon as I wake you, I'm going to either rattle or play the chimes while you journal. I just want you to write what you saw. Isn't that going to be fun? So yeah, your perfume will get to you in time for week 3. Your tools will get to you in time. Soul Shift tools and Morpheus perfume are all being mailed out tomorrow and Friday. So everything will reach you in time. Have I knocked you out twice already, Christy? Some people fall asleep every time they journey. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. When you fall asleep during journey, it's because your spirit guides really want you to go in deep, and they're trying to bypass this like conscious racing monkey mind stuff that we do as humans, because some of us can't really journey. We're sitting there going, is this really me, or am I just making this up, or oh, I didn't cook dinner, or I forgot to go to the grocery store. And it's like they can't get you out of that loop, so they just knock you back. Every time I do breath work, I sleep for part of it because it's like the universe just can't, you know what I mean? Can't get me out of my monkey mind sometimes. So they do it, and it's okay. But every time I do a journey with anybody, the number one question is, oh my God, I fell asleep. Does that mean I missed it? And my answer is, oh my God, no, it means you were there for the whole thing. It means you got a gift. Yeah, Morpheus is separate from your tools. So if you want Morpheus, I don't know if we have any Morpheus left. You do have a 20% code today. So if you didn't get it and you want it, I would say today is last call. In fact, I probably will have them take it off the site tomorrow because I just want to make sure if you get it, that you get it in time for Journey. So Alexis will link to it if we have it and give you your code too. Yeah, so it's too late for your Soul Shift tools, but it's not too late for Morpheus. I just don't know if we have any Morpheus left, so Alexis will have to be the arbiter of that. Okay, cool. So, any questions about your symbol, about the acknowledgement of the month, right? We're unearthing, we're getting into Cancer and kind of like digging deep a little bit. Any questions about Morpheus and who Morpheus is in ancient mythology? We're going to be journeying with him week 3. Or any questions about Jungian psychology and archetypes. I've given you like Intro 101 for today. Just checking to see. Karen Carley says she can't be hypnotized. Isn't that interesting? Which may be what some are experiencing. Repetitive sounds, drumming. Very, very interesting. Oh, I'm happy for you. Thank you, Michelle. I really appreciate it. Did you enjoy it? Okay, so can we practice for a few minutes? Who's got a dream? Who brought a dream to our session today that you haven't quite been able to understand and is willing to share it so that we can dig in there? Your code for today, by the way, is Crystal 20. But don't tell anybody. I really don't want people using your code, so please be protective with your Soul Shift codes. Everybody else gets the 18% off. Okay, bring me a dream. What you got? Crystal Scarlet, I had such a vivid dream the other night of the mirror in my closet breaking. I just found it shattered. So real, I thought I would find, isn't this interesting? I've had this dream before too. The mirror broken the next morning, but no, what does it mean? So with your dream, can you tell me your elemental profile? So Crystal, what is your primary elemental correspondence or alignment? Do you find yourself mostly fire, mostly earth, mostly air, or mostly water? Because we're going to filter it through that lens. It's a great question from Lena. What kind of intention would be good to set for this journey? Understanding your Dreamtime experience better. What I'm going to be teaching you in Crystal Masters next week, and then preparing you for in week 3 before our journey, is what Dreamtime is. As I mentioned at the beginning of our class tonight, Dreamtime is the only time that you stop trying to control the show, because you can't. It's the only time you truly surrender, unless you consciously surrender during the day, which some of us do. I try. But we're still human, and we still think that we are holding we're the puppeteers, right? But we're not. And so Dreamtime is the only chance your guides get for you to get out of the way. They heal your body, they heal your mind, they will unravel puzzles. So she's all water. So let's look at the water sign. Get your worksheet, right? Let's look at water and what the archetypes tend to be. Magician, lover, caregiver. So I'm going to give you my interpretation, but you guys in the feed are quite schooled. So if you have something else for Crystal Scarlet, jump in. I'm going to share my perspective. I feel like this is a magician archetype dream. Remember what the mirror represents. The mirror represents, for the magician, right, as within, so without. And you wanting to break the mirror, to me, signifies you as a magician wanting to transform or change. Wanting to see something else in your reality other than what is being mirrored back to you right now. So that to me is a dream about transformation. You see what's in the mirror and it shatters. And that's because you are going through a process of shifting or changing, learning how to use your tools to change what you see mirrored back to you in the world. So I would see that as a really good dream, because it means something in you is changing, right? And she's going through big changes right now, and that is being shown to you. So some people think of a mirror shattering as really bad, like a nightmare. I look at it and I'm like, great. Whatever isn't serving you anymore is shifting, and it's making room for something new. Interesting, right? So Carol said, in my dreams, I tend to visit this particular house. It has several stories and it's a mess. I know it's my house and there's so much to clean up. There isn't trash, just older things, right? So Carol, you're in Aries. Do you identify mostly as fire? What is your elemental profile? If you had to align yourself, I'm guessing fire, but you might say something different. I'm going to look at it through the fire archetypes though. Oh, Morpheus is out. Okay. Yeah, so let me know. So I would say if you are fire, Carol, I'm waiting to see if you say what you think you are. You've got the rebel, the explorer, so fire and air. Okay. Yeah, which is me too. So I would look more at fire through this, right? Depends on how you look at it. The rebel would look at that, right, and see a mess and see something that has to be fixed and transformed, and feel like they have to change it, they have to fix it, they have to transform it, like it's your responsibility. Or the rebel, you could look at that as the explorer too. Like, here's this big mess and I'm the one who's going to fix it, or I'm the one who's going to change it, or I have to move all of this stuff around. It's also older energy, and fire is an element of transformation that burns through things. Fire doesn't like old things. Fire sees old things as dry and combustible, right? So it could also be just sort of not even archetypal. It could be more you wanting to experience something new. And you feel like you're all that fire energy feels like it's stifled when it's got clutter and old things and a mess all around you. It doesn't feel structured or organized or, a source of power for you. So that could be one way of looking at that dream too. And a lot of times there's ancestral stuff. 1000% Sheree. She said, what about interpreting Carol's old things as some sort of ancestral baggage? It could be too. That's sometimes for fire signs. Old things will represent old people and old relationships. And so that can also be sort of a burning through or a clearing of old relationships, old energies, old lineage stuff, which can show up in a dream as like almost being in an antique store. I've had dreams like that where it's like all old stuff and it's clutter and I can't find my way through. It's not clear. It's not organized, right? So that's interesting too. Let's see. Sarah said, I had a powerful dream that I had a daughter, a fourth child. It was wonderful. She was about 5, gave me peace. In my mind, it's still real. Being 58, not sure how it's going to happen. I don't know. I have friends in their 50s who talk about having kids. I mean, I will tell you at 46, I would join the witness protection program. I'm too tired for infants. I don't think I have the energy now, but some people really do have the energy for it. So Sarah Perry, what's your elemental profile? No, I would not have a child right now. Yeah, so Sarah Perry, tell me about your profile. See, Lorian had a baby at 49, but you have more energy, Lorian. I just feel like, I'm not saying I couldn't physically do it. I'm saying patience-wise, I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. Maybe I could. I think God's going to spare me. Aw, Dylan's running a fever again. Christy, so much love to you tonight. Truly, truly. Please give him a hug and a kiss for me. Okay, so Sarah Perry's got an earth profile. So we're going to look at the sage, the ruler, and the jester. So what's interesting is one way to look at that dream is the ruler creates a legacy. Interestingly enough. So I might interpret that, again, simply through the elemental filters as you extending your line, you expanding your rule, you expanding your queendom, you expanding your lineage, right? Could be one way of looking at that. That's an interesting one too. Dream book recommendations. There's so many, Christina. I used to buy them. I don't know about you. I used to like, if I ever, do you remember the old days when we used to go into real stores? I love bookstores. I still love Barnes and Noble. I haven't been there since the quarantine. But you know that sale section in Barnes and Noble? I have a problem there. Because obviously they're really not that much on sale, but they look like they're on sale because there's like big sale price tags on them and stuff. So I used to go through those aisles at Barnes and Noble and like stock up, and there were always these books of like, you know, what do your dreams mean and dream interpretation, right? The bargain section. It's not a bargain though. You have to remember that. I taught myself. I'm like, $9.99 for this book is not a bargain. You go on Amazon, you can get it for $5, right? But anyway, you feel like you're getting a bargain. But I used to get all those dream books, and then what I found is they were kind of saying the same thing with every dream. And it's like, this is why I'm trying to filter it through more of a psychological perspective, because I think there's more meat on this bone than just saying, oh, a spider is a dream of, you know, grandparents and cycles and lineage, and it can be. But I kind of feel like it's almost like my favorite example of this is Scott Cunningham's herb book. I always use this as the joke. But Scott, and I like Scott Cunningham. I'm not, digging on Scott Cunningham. But in Scott Cunningham's herb book, almost every herb has the same meanings. It's like everything's for protection, everything's for love, everything's for this. And so if everything's for protection, then nothing's for protection. You know what I mean? So it's kind of the same thing with dream books, where it's like, this is interesting. It says it's for protection. And then it's like, oh, but this one's for protection. And wait, this other one's for protection. And wait, this other one's for protection, right? Yeah. I don't know. I don't think every herb is for protection, so I have a little bit of an issue with things like that sometimes. It's helpful, but then you got to gut check it against your own experience. Maybe you can cross-reference it with other books. There's really great herbal books out there, compendiums of herbs that are like much more specific and cross-cultural, and really do try to, cross-reference different traditions and different ideas, but they're all kind of repetitive. So Hillary says, has recurring dreams about driving on roads, but they don't resemble roads. Also walking trails up a hill, then buried treasure offshore. She's an Aries with Taurus rising. Okay, so she's air, earth and fire, and these dreams of driving on roads. So remember, this is with your fire, Hillary. That's going to be your creator hero. That's going to be your rebel explorer orphan. So that explains the like you're off the roads, you're going, you're exploring. And then with air is the creator, the hero, and the innocent, right? So I think that's more of the explorer archetype, really. I think that's more of your fire showing up in those dreams than your air, probably. Really, really interesting. What are your thoughts and feelings about going back into your dreams and fixing them? Is there a REM cycle that occurs in the morning? I am usually successful at getting back into a dream. Are you guys able to do that? You know, when you wake up and you have to pee or something, but it's a really rad dream and you're like, I'm going back in that dream. And you try not to super wake up while you're peeing because you know that you want to go back in. Like you don't open your eyes. I'm just being honest. I do this a lot where I'm like, I am going to pee and then I'm going to get back into that dream. And I'm usually successful at getting back in. There's only been a couple times where I haven't been able to get back in and I've been really upset about it. Have you ever had such a great dream and you can't get back in and you're laying there going, take me back in. I'm sorry I peed. So I do think you can get back in. I want to leave you with this, okay, for tonight, because I know we're at our time. I do want to say those 2 hours went by really fast for me. Again, I never know what your experience of class is like because I'm not having your experience. But I'm like, it's 6 o'clock. Couple things I want to sit with you just so that you think about them, okay? Third dimension. Like I said at the beginning, so I'm kind of bringing this back, right? Third dimension, we have space and time boundaries, okay? So it is 6 p.m., right? I live in Los Angeles. I live in this house, right? I am bound by space and time. My soul does not always recognize that. My soul gets frustrated. My soul does not want to think about time, and my soul does not understand how I can't also be here and then be in Spain and be with my friend in Sedona and be over here. Like, my soul doesn't get it. Okay? I'm really glad you guys have had fun. And I'll tell you something. If Alexis and I put our heads together and come up with a good dream book recommendation, we'll share it with you. If you guys have favorite books, link to them in the classroom, in the Facebook group. If you've got an Amazon link for a book that you swear by for dream interpretation, I want it too. So maybe I already have it, and maybe we can kind of collate our ideas. So please feel free to share book recommendations. But this is an important point, and I want to leave you with this tonight. Dream time is not bound by space or time. Outside of where you and I are right now, like I said, is you as a child, you when your kids were babies, you as 80 years old, you in your next life, you in your past life, you living out every possible choice you could have made in this life that you didn't make. You're somewhere living all that stuff out somewhere else. So in dream time, it's like the lid is off the box. You can be everywhere at once. You are not bound by your relationship, by being a parent, by living, where you live or doing the job you do. All of the constraints get released. And so one of the things I want to teach you to do is work with dream time more intentionally. Start to enjoy it. I look forward to going to bed at night. I really do. And I love that super sexy, I've told you this before, half an hour before I really fall asleep. And I play with that time. I call that dream time foreplay. I get in bed and I start to, instead of going through like everything in my day and like, don't do that. Don't lay in bed and go, oh, I forgot to send that email. No, I'll order the groceries tomorrow. Oh yeah, it's her birthday next week. Did I get a card? Don't do that stuff. That half hour before you go to bed, you should be laying there going, tonight, I want to understand my passion for history. Tonight, I want to, return to ancient Egypt. Tonight, I want to, and even if your dreams don't take you there, it's like starting to see that half hour before you fall asleep when you're in between. It's called a liminal space. You're not awake, but you're not asleep. And Ashley Hard, this is exactly what I'm talking about. If you start to work intentionally with that foreplay, that dreamtime foreplay, that half an hour, without filling it up with news or media or a movie, if you're falling asleep in the middle of a show, or if you're falling asleep in the middle of a book, you're not using that sexy liminal space to prep for dream time. And right before, during that time, right, it's a dream setup, right? Moon dreaming is a great way, Lena said. Dream setup from Carol. And talk to your spirit guides. I give you permission to come in. Now, some people dream walk. I didn't think I used to, but I show up in a remarkable number of other people's dreams. And so I always ask, if I'm going to dream walk tonight, please let it be a positive experience for the highest good of all. If I show up in somebody's dream, please let it be to support their growth. You know what I mean? Because I literally get messages every single day from people saying, you were in my dream last night, you dream walked, right? Do you do it too? And so Lindsay says, I teach her, right? I've been in Carolyn's dreams. Karen and I have been in class together, right? And sometimes people will say I show up as like a child, and sometimes I show up as like a really older person. Remember, so my intention is always, let it be beautiful, let it be helpful, let it be peaceful, let it be fun. Like, it's if we can have fun in dream time, right? Isn't that fun? So I dream walk, but just know that I do set the intention, if I'm going to be in your dream, that it's for a higher purpose and for the highest good. I don't want to show up in your dream and have it be all weird. So be aware of that. I actually knew someone once. I don't do any ceremonial work with him. Once I kind of figured out what he was about, I really distanced myself. But he dream walked and sometimes I think manipulated it. It was a really bizarre thing. And I didn't really believe in it until one time he dream walked into my dream. And I was like, oh, no, we're not doing that. You know what I mean? Because the dream was like kind of, it felt like cobwebs. Like I started to get trapped in this thing with him. So there are dream walkers who don't always have the best intentions, right? So you can also tell your spirit guides, no entrance of false dream walkers. You know what I mean? And you can put a guard and a guardrail around your dream time. I always ask God to protect me in my dreams, especially if I'm doing lucid dreaming. I always ask for a safe passage back. If you don't believe in God, then just insert your higher power of choice. You know what I mean? You can say, Goddess, protect me, Source, protect me, however you name that force. You can even call it the Force. Dear Force, protect me in my dream time space, because if you find dream walkers and people showing up and all of that, divine source is beautiful. Always ask for protection and to be kept, in the arms and the hands of whatever that force is for you. It's very important, because remember, the universe is polar, and where there is light and beauty and love, there is also darkness and forces that are not there in service of your highest good. And I don't want to scare you, because here's the thing, I'm never scared. I am not. But I know who and what I serve. And I know that force protects me. So it never even occurs to me to be afraid. I literally never indulge it. But there are people who have no idea to even do what I'm saying to do, right? They just kind of go to bed and they leave it all open, and it's like, mm-mm. So you send everybody's energy back to them before you go to sleep. You call your own energy in. You ask your higher power to protect you and keep you safe. You work with crystals, and you really work intentionally with that half hour before you really fall asleep. That's how you have powerful, powerful experiences. Interesting. Really interesting to see your experiences, you guys. Yeah, so if you are having sleep disturbances, nightmares, night terrors, things being moved, waking up feeling really unsettled, the bed's moving, things like that, you're going to have to take some additional protective measures, and you're going to have to, in my experience, speak out loud to the universe where your alignment is. Because, when I open a circle with this, I'm not going through emotion. I am saying with this selenite wand, what is allowed in and what must remain out. And it's no joke, right? So I take this part of the practice really seriously because I know it's possible to have other experiences. In my experience, and I've been doing this work for a long time, when people have problems in sleep time, it's because they are not clear about who and what they serve. And ultimately, that's your decision and your relationship, but I think you have to articulate it a little bit more strongly if you're having those kinds of experiences. I really do. Now, there are people who will tell you that it's not spiritual, it's not metaphysical, you're having a seizure, there's something wrong with your brain, there's, you know what I mean? But in my experience, because I've worked with thousands of people now, right, with this over this decade, they have some clarifying to do. And when I've asked them, have you articulated who and what you serve, what side you're on, usually at the end of it, they'll go, not really. I haven't really. And it's like, well, now is a good time to do that. So child night terrors, same thing. Start to pray with your child, whatever that means. And if you don't like the word pray, you don't like the word God, because I never like to make you feel like you have to believe those things just because I do. You can talk about setting intentions and calling in your angels or your guides or ask for protection, right? It doesn't have to be a religious experience. But that's how you can start to teach your child to put a dream catcher in their room, bring sodalite into their room. If they're having extreme night terrors, bring melanite garnet into the room, bring izurine into the room, bring onyx or obsidian into the room, right? Start to grid under the bed. So, and you don't have to tell your child to choose a side, but you can talk to your child about, calling on their angels before they go to sleep. Let's call in your sleep angels. They're going to protect you and keep you safe. And my daughter Zoe used to name her dream angels. I would say, do your dream angels have names? And then she would say, yeah, they do. And she would name them all, right? Kids are all ready to have these experiences and these conversations if you're open to teaching them and having them with you. Kids, you're right, Sheree, kids love dream catchers. They love sodalite. They love talking about dream angels and inviting our dream angels in to carry us off to sleep safely, right? And then once they have more peaceful sleep, they start to believe. My son, no matter where I am in the world, will not go to sleep unless we pray our very specific prayer. It doesn't matter. If I'm in a different time zone, fortunately I'm not traveling now, but when I do travel, I have to calculate it. And at 9 p.m., I'm on that phone with him praying, whether I'm in Tucson or France or wherever I am in the world. That's 365 days a year, all day, every day at 9 p.m. Zoe's the same way, and she has her own prayer that we do. So as soon as I'm off the phone with Nick, I'm on the phone with her. And they can't sleep without it. Now you could say, well, that's a crutch, or maybe you shouldn't have created that, but they don't have sleep disturbances. Do you know what I mean? They never complain about nightmares or, I couldn't sleep last night, or, I'm afraid to go to sleep in my room. Because they have tools. They have their dream angels, they have their dream stones, they have their dream catcher. They have all these things. My son, his dream catcher fell down, and he instantly ran to go and put it back on the door. So give them some tools and some wisdom. Again, you don't have to teach your kids about good and evil and all these things early on, but I think giving them some tools, it teaches them. And it teaches them in a really gentle way about some pretty serious realities that you and I know are true, right? I don't know the names of my dream angels. Zoe made hers up, but Zoe's a Pisces and she's got a very vivid imagination. She was like, well, there's Scott, and Scott is my dream angel of, butterflies. And then there's, I don't even remember what they were. There's Martha, and she's my dream angel of trees and flowers. And I'm just like, oh, I love that. Martha's great. Meanwhile, I'm like, I don't think I guess mine's just Morpheus. Zoe has a vivid imagination. I don't have to. Yeah, no, she would make you a list. She could probably alphabetize it for you. Nick doesn't have dream angels that he knows by name. That's a Pisces thing. It's very true. Never ask a Pisces what their dream angels' names are unless you've got about 15 to 30 minutes free to really sit and listen to all the names. Because if you ask a Pisces that and then you interrupt them, they're going to cry. That's not a good thing either. I want to tell you about my dream angels, and you don't want to listen. So be careful what you wish for. All right, you guys. Thank you for being here. This was session 1 of some pretty powerful Dreamtime magic. You're so welcome. I'm glad you were there. Truly, truly, truly. It's true. If you ask a Pisces a question, you better sit down. Alexis would tell you it's true. But that's why we love them too. She's my imagination living outside my body, you know, and I thank her for it because she brings a lot of whimsy and beauty to my world that wouldn't be here otherwise. It's true. So, all right, you guys, cheers. Enjoy. I will be live with you this weekend for Ovid. I don't know when, but I will let you know in advance. In the meantime, enjoy. Remember, you have 20% off at Sage Goddess. If there is anything that you want, I know Morpheus is gone, but your code is Crystal20 if there's anything else that you're looking at. And sweet dreams. I'm really excited about Crystal Masters. Like I said, I've never brought class into my bedroom, so get ready for some interesting conversations next Wednesday with session 2. Again, your soul shift tools are shipping tomorrow and Friday. Morpheus is shipping tomorrow and Friday. Everything should be here in time for session 3, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I'll see you soon. And thank you, Alexis.